Last week, we got a brand new Mummy movie directed by Lee Cronin. So today, I'm going to rank all 8 Universal Monsters films released this decade in the 2020s. There's 8 if you're curious about the list. Just watch the video, but I'll also be putting it in the description as well if you want to make your own list. Tell me in the comment section, what is your ranking of the films by Universal Monsters released this decade? And with that said, we're going to dive right in to my number 8, which is The Bride. Wow. I was very much looking forward to The Bride, believe it or not. It was on my most anticipated movies list of the year. I thought the trailers looked great. I was excited to see what Maggie Gyllenhaal could do as a director. And overall, for me, this one just completely not good. Craps the bed, in my opinion. On the surface level, it's just a bad movie in general. You have too many plot lines where you're trying to do, like, female empowerment, relationship issues, handling all these different plot lines, and not a single one of them is totally evened out in really a cohesive matter at all. But besides that, then you got the Mary Shelley stuff, where you have the bride, played by Jessie Buckley, who is a phenomenal actress. She was great in Hamnet, won Best Actress for Hamnet, so she's great, but what do you do with her? You just have her start saying random nonsense in a British accent that makes no sense, and it's just unbearable. It's completely stupid, and it takes away from every scene inside the movie. I will say this movie is shot really well. Cinematography is great, performances on point, but on a story level, on a thematic level, on just a script level, really any level that you could put this movie on, it completely fails. But then besides the fact that this movie, it just is not a good movie in general, you got the people, the women, really. Yeah, women, you're the problem here. That's a joke. I'm not sexist. I've been called sexist by like 50 women for hating this movie. And it makes no sense to me because I love women. I'm not a woman hater. I love me some women. But the fact that this is a film that doesn't have a cohesive script, doesn't do anything really right, and is just, in general, a bad movie, and I didn't like it, that makes me a sexist, and I've been told on Twitter that there are certain movies, like somebody wrote out a list of movies that I should not be allowed to watch, The Substance being one of them, because I'm a misogynist, sexist male. And I'm like, what kind of meth are you smoking, girl? Because that makes no sense that a movie that I just don't like makes me a sexist. Because it's directed by a woman. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. In fact, take Chloe Zhao, for example. Again, Chloe Zhao, Jessie Buckley, Hamnet. Chloe Zhao is like one of my favorite filmmakers working today for The Eternals and Hamnet. 2 phenomenal movies in my opinion. Yes, I love The Eternals. I don't know. It's stupid. The discourse is stupid. And whoever says I'm sexist for not liking the movie is stupid. So, yeah. Take that as you will. In the 7th spot, the first of 2 Leigh Whannell films, The Wolfman. A film that I was very much, again, really looking forward to last year. I love the concept of The Wolfman. Leigh Whannell, he did The Invisible Man, Upgrade, Insidious 3, all 3 really good movies in my opinion. So I thought, how could they possibly mess this movie up? And it started off really strong, actually, where we're with the characters. They get attacked by the Wolfman. You go to the house, and you're like, oh, shoot, things are going to start building up when he's transitioning to the Wolfman. It has a very interesting camera style and coloring to it that is just really interesting. But what happens when they get to the cabin? The movie just goes from, oh, this is interesting, to, I am bored out of my mind. I kid you not, for the next hour of the film is the dad talking to his daughter, being like, hey, baby, I'm not going to let anything happen to you, baby. You're going to be okay, baby. And that's all that's happening for an hour. They're boarding up windows. You're just bored out of your mind waiting for something, really anything to happen. But then after that, when he starts to transition, I just couldn't care what happens because I'm already bored, I'm already uninvested, and it's so far and long in between from anything interesting happening that Leigh Whannell managed to make The Wolfman boring, and I'm still, like, at a loss how the guy who did Upgrade, The Invisible Man, two great movies, could make a movie about The Wolfman boring. At the 6th spot, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, a film nominated for Best Picture last year, and I've talked about it numerous times on the channel. I think it's good. I do. I saw it in theaters with the Best Picture Marathon, and I will say, watching on Netflix, I think some of the CGI looks really weird, some of the camera looks really weird. Watching in theaters is a must, I will say. This movie looks phenomenal in theaters. The cinematography is great. The coloring, the CGI, maybe some of it's a little bit rough, but most of it looks phenomenal, and I had my breath taken away in that theater on the marathon watching this movie. It definitely enhanced the experience for me. I think there's some really good emotions in here. Jacob Elordi is fantastic as the creature. You have Oscar Isaac, who is awesome in here as well. There's some pretty good action sequences. Again, seeing it in theaters definitely enhanced my experience. But I will say, each time I watch this movie, which is twice now, is I never fully connected to the story or the plot of the movie. It just feels like, I don't know, it's one of those movies that I watch and I feel like I should be loving it. I just don't connect with it as much as I should. And it's very hard to describe because it's like this feeling like, oh, it's good. But me personally, I don't connect with it, and I genuinely cannot come to my mind a reason why I don't love this movie besides I just didn't connect with it. Kicking off our top 5, Renfield, one of the most hated movies of the decade so far for absolutely no reason. Just so we know, Frankenstein's where these start getting up. I'd give Wolfman 2 stars, Frankenstein's 3.5, Renfield's 3.5. Next up, we're going to go into the 4-star movies. But Renfield is a pretty fun movie. That's what it is. I mean, it's a movie with Nicolas Cage as Dracula, for goodness sakes. Why are we hating on the movie? You got Nicholas Hoult in here, you got everybody's favorite actress, Awkwafina. Yeah, girl! That was a terrible Awkwafina impression, but I don't care, because Awkwafina sucks. I think that's why the movie gets all this hate, is because it came out at a time where Awkwafina was getting cast in everything, and it got really annoying at a certain point, but still, didn't really hurt my fun with the movie. It's got plenty of gore, plenty of violence, plenty of just all kinds of fun things inside of this movie. It's been a while since I've seen it. I have had no need to rewatch it since the theaters. I don't have much thoughts on Renfield besides I had fun with it, and I don't understand why it's getting so much hate. It's a movie with Nicolas Cage as Dracula. That's awesome to me. So, this kicks off our top 5. Number 4, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. This is a movie that is probably the most interesting out of all of the films on this list. Whether it's because it's directed by Robert Eggers, who has just a very distinct style, or that it's essentially a shot-for-shot remake of something that also has a more of a distinct, again, Robert Eggers vibe to it. But I really enjoyed this movie when I saw it. Again, this is another one that I haven't checked out since the theater, but since Renfield, it's only been about a year since Nosferatu came out, so it's still pretty fresh on my mind. I haven't felt the need to rewatch it. But it's, like I said, movie with very distinct feel. The camera work is awesome. I just love the vibe that Eggers brings to the movies. The cast is absolutely phenomenal here. Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult. Back-to-back Nicholas Hoult movies on this list, and they're both vampire movies, by the way. That's kind of strange. But you got Aaron Taylor-Johnson in here. Skarsgård as Dracula, or Nosferatu, I guess, is really, really great in this movie. Gives one of his best performances that I love in this movie. And as much as the movie is very slow to start out, like, it takes a good while to get going, once it does get going, it hits a flow and feels like a movie unlike really anything I've ever seen before. I was incredibly interested the entire time. The story had me on the edge of my seat a lot. There's plenty of carnage in the back half of the movie, and the way that the movie ended is really weird, but honestly kind of satisfying for me. I saw this movie with my best friend and his girl, and they both hated it, and I still get clowned for really enjoying this movie. But, so it's not for everybody, but if you like movies like this, if you like the distinct style of Robert Eggers like I do, I really enjoyed this movie, and I am very excited for Werewolf coming this December. Before I dive into my top 3 of the Universal monsters in the 2020s, do me a huge favor. What is your ranking of the films down below in the comment section? And while you're down there, if you would, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell. Specifically, subscribe. Trying to reach 300 by July, and I think we could do it on the Zach D Films channel. With that said, number 3 is Leigh Whannell's The Invisible Man. This is a movie that I watched in preparation, obviously, for Wolfman, which, like I said already earlier in this video, was a huge disappointment. And I watched this film, and I will say for the first half, maybe not half, first third of the movie, I will say that it starts off very slow. I would say our lead character actually is pretty unlikable at certain times. I get that she's going through this hard time, but like the way that it presents, she is very hard to deal with at times in the movie. But again, this is another one of those movies that once it hits its groove, it absolutely hits. Leigh Whannell is a director that can direct action really well. I mean, look at Upgrade. That movie's awesome. But you get The Invisible Man, and it's a movie where it has more of an action horror vibe, I think, where once it gets into the craziness, once it gets to the twists and turns of the movie, it gets really, really fun. It gets really, really edge of your seat stuff, and just gets all the Invisible Man carnage candy that you want in this movie. So again, it's another one, once it hits its groove, it's awesome. I think that the ending is really, really satisfying, in my opinion. It just leaves you with a grin on your face that every plot line was closed out, especially for our character arc. So, another movie by Leigh Whannell, The Invisible Man, that starts off slow, eventually wins me over completely by the end. Our runner-up, and initially out of the theater, I had this one in my number 1 spot, but I gotta put it as my runner-up because this one, it's still fresh to me, but I think that I gotta put recency bias aside. My runner-up, Lee Cronin's The Mummy. This is quite possibly one of the grossest films I've ever seen. It's by far the grossest film on this list. You see people tearing off their skin, toenails, teeth stuff, licking stuff. Like, it's so gross and cringe-inducing throughout 95% of the film. And I could tell you, me and my brother both saw the movie, and I looked over at him, and he was covering his eyes, and I had to cover my eyes numerous times. So I get that gross horror might not be your cup of tea. It's not necessarily my favorite, but it's very effective in this movie, and it has some creepy moments. And I think something that really works is that the movie does a great job getting you to care for this family. From the very get-go, you introduce them, something's actually going right in their life, you have a grin on your face, and then tragedy strikes. And it shows, like, how far you would go for your possessed daughter. Now, I will say you have to extend your disbelief quite a bit. Yes, as soon as my daughter shows up possessed, she's not stepping foot in my house. I think there is some very stupid moments with them. But you care for the characters. I think every performance here is great. I think the children performances in this film are phenomenal. So that really works. I will say the script, maybe all the twists and turns reveals, like, they worked enough for me in the theater, but once you actually sit back to think about it, you realize it's really dumb. You realize that the characters make the wrong decisions. But for me, it was effective enough in that theater that I could just sit back, have a really great time with a gross horror movie that just really worked for me. It's currently my favorite film of the year so far, and Lee Cronin, after Evil Dead Rise and The Mummy, I'm all in on him. The Mummy's essentially an Evil Dead movie. I'll just throw that out there. It's an Evil Dead movie, okay? That's all it is. And I get that you diehard Mummy fans are really mad about that. I'm not a diehard Mummy fan. I'm a diehard Evil Dead fan. And so getting Evil Dead the Mummy version, it worked enough for me. But my number 1, my favorite Universal monster movie from the 2020 is Abigail. Now, you might say, well, this isn't Universal Monsters because it's not Dracula. Yes, it is. It's actually based off of Dracula's daughter. And remember, Dracula pops in at the end of this movie. This movie's awesome. Man, you have just a phenomenal cast in this one with Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Catherine Newton, Kevin Durand, Giancarlo Esposito pops in here. It's an absolute blast, and everybody has great chemistry with each other. It is quite hilarious when you enter the Carnage Candy moments. They are very, very effective and very fun, very funny. It's like one of those movies that I've watched probably 6 or 7 7 times, throughout my life, ever since it released in 2023, and every time I watch it, I just have such a good time with it. It does at a certain moment where we enter the third act, and, one of our lead characters becomes a vampire, and it gets a little too goofy and a little too stupid for me, but, besides that, it's just a vampire movie that I have such a good time with every time I check it out. It's one of the most fun movies. It is the most fun movie on this list, and it's one of the most fun movies of the decade. So Abigail, for me, is a personal film that I love and has to be my number one. All right, guys, make sure to tell me in the comment section what is your ranking of these Universal monsters in the 2020s films. And with that said, subscribe.